Listen to me very carefully, because what I'm about to tell you will define whether the next 20 years of your life are spent as a financial slave or as someone riding the greatest wave of wealth in human history. I want you to go back with me to March 9th, 2009. The world was burning. The S&P 500 had just closed at a staggering 676 points. Lehman Brothers had collapsed months prior. Retirement accounts were being wiped out by the hour, and every single news headline was screaming that the Great Depression was back. People weren't just worried. They were paralyzed. The fear was thick enough to cut with a knife. But in the middle of that chaos, a school teacher named Margaret did something that looked like absolute suicide to everyone around her. She took $50,000, money she had been grinding for years to use as a house down payment, and she threw it into a simple, boring S&P 500 index fund. Her friends told her she'd lost her mind. Her family begged her to wait until things stabilized. Margaret did something most people can't do. She muted the noise. She understood that when blood is in the streets, you don't run for the exit. You look for the keys to the kingdom. Today, that $50,000 is worth nearly $600,000. She didn't pick a moonshot crypto coin. She didn't time the market perfectly. She simply recognized a generational moment of peak fear. The story of what happened after March 2009 illustrates exactly how ordinary people build extraordinary wealth. The market didn't just recover. It launched into the longest bull market in American history. From 2009 to early 2026, the market rose over 900%. The index recently crossed the 7,000-point milestone for the first time. Think about that. $100 invested at that bottom became $1,000 today. But the people who benefited most weren't Wall Street sharks or hedge fund managers. They were teachers, nurses, and small business owners who simply kept investing while everyone else panicked. The data tells a story that the media loves to ignore. In 2010, the United States had approximately 8.4 million millionaire households. By the end of 2024, that number had nearly tripled to almost 24 million. That is 15 million new millionaires in just 14 years. That's like the entire population of the New York metropolitan area becoming millionaires in less than a decade and a half. These aren't tech geniuses or lottery winners. They are what UBS calls everyday millionaires, people with between $1 and $5 million in net worth. Most of them didn't have dramatic windfalls. They just had the steady accumulation of assets in rising markets. According to reports from 2025, the U.S. added over 1,000 new millionaires every single day in 2024 alone. Let that sink in. While you were sleeping, 1,000 regular people became millionaires. And they did it by participating in the market's rise through simple retirement accounts and index funds. This group has quadrupled globally since the year 2000, and they now control over $17 trillion in wealth. The path to joining them isn't a secret. It's documented, it's repeatable, and it's about to get even easier. Why? Because we are living through something even more powerful than 2009, a convergence of forces that hasn't happened in nearly a century. We are entering the Great Wealth Transfer. $124 trillion is about to change hands. That is not a typo. $124 trillion moving over the next 2 decades. This number exceeds the entire annual economic output of every country on Earth combined. It is more than 5 times the current U.S. national debt. The mechanics of this transfer are straightforward but profound. Baby boomers, born between 1946 and 1964, control 52% of all wealth in the United States, roughly $78 trillion. The youngest boomers turn 62 this year. The oldest are approaching 80. Over the next 2 decades, this massive concentration of capital will cascade through the generations. Generation X is set to inherit $39 trillion. Millennials are looking at a $46 trillion windfall. Even Gen Z will begin receiving significant inheritances by the 2030s. But the critical detail most people miss is this. The opportunity isn't just about waiting for an inheritance. Most families won't receive life-changing sums because wealth is highly concentrated. Only 2% of households control 62% of the transfer. The real opportunity is the ripple effect that this massive movement creates across the entire economy. When $124 trillion changes hands, it doesn't sit still. It gets deployed into businesses, real estate, and markets. Research from Bank of America and Merrill Lynch shows that younger investors have dramatically different preferences. 72% of investors under 43 believe it's no longer possible to get rich with just traditional stocks and bonds. They are redirecting trillions into alternative investments, AI infrastructure, and digital assets. This generational shift will create massive capital inflows into new sectors. If you understand that capital flows are shifting from blue-chip boomer stocks to millennial-driven tech and innovation, you can position yourself in front of the wave before it hits. Real estate positioning will also be critical. As boomers sell and heirs buy, we will see a massive reshuffle. Demand will skyrocket in markets where younger generations want to live, while suburban retirement destinations may see inventory gluts. The same $500,000 deployed in Austin versus Cleveland will produce dramatically different outcomes. Geographic awareness is now a direct link to wealth accumulation. But through all this transition, the most reliable strategy remains the same. Stay invested. The schoolteacher Margaret didn't need a PhD. She just needed the discipline to stay in the game through the European debt crisis, the trade wars, and the pandemic. Goldman Sachs research shows that missing just the 10 best days in the market since 2009 would have cut your returns from 17% annually to 12%. Missing the 25 best days cuts your wealth nearly in half. The numbers are abstract until you apply them to your life. A 35-year-old today, investing just $500 a month, can reach millionaire status through consistency alone, especially with the tailwinds of this wealth transfer. At a 10% average return, that $500 becomes over $600,000. Increase it to $1,000, and you're looking at $1.3 million. The great wealth transfer is a marathon, not a sprint. It spans 25 years. You need to maximize your tax-advantaged accounts, maintain broad market exposure through low-cost index funds, and develop skills that serve this wealth movement. History doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes. 2009 was a moment of fear. 2026 is a moment of transition. Both are defining wealth creation events. You now know the scale. You now know the timeline. What you do with this knowledge will determine if you're among the millions who look back on this period as the moment everything changed. The wealth is moving. The math is undeniable. Go build your empire.